Hello and welcome back to the Escape Pod. Thank you for escaping with us. That's Alex. I'm Andrew.
And as always, with great power comes great elephant in the room ability. Obviously, we are talking about something that everybody is aware of. We are talking about the biggest deal this week.
This month, this year.
The talk of the town. A Warner Brothers legend is back. That's right. Max is changing its name back to HBO Max
Is
today.
it really?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It's back. HBO
Why?
Max.
I actually kind of like Max. I finally got used to it. Now they're pulling the rug out from me again.
They are pulling the rug out from you again.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Weird.
Mm-hmm. No, obviously we're talking about Superman.
We're talking about the fact that my hair's not permed. That's the elephant in the room.
You look a lot like your father right now.
I know. I look terrible.
It's terrible.
I'm just kidding. No, my dad can pull it off. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
Everyone calm down. It'll be back as soon as the hair's long enough. Everyone chill the F out.
We're going to get a lot of comments. Comment L Rams.
Comment L hair.
Nice.
I'll balance it out this week.
There you go. Thank you.
No, but TikTok's not going to see this. They're just going to see the clips. They're just going to see me looking
They're
chopped.
going to freak out.
They're going to freak out.
They're going to be like, no, what happened to the glow up?
What happened to the Spider-Man hoodie guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But
So
anyways, okay, let's everyone buckle the frick up.
Yeah.
Because this was going to be a review episode.
Yeah.
We were, y'all have been asking us about K-pop Hunters,
Ironheart.
There was one F1, which we still haven't seen actually.
I actually have.
Oh, so you could review it?
No, yeah, I've got my review.
But you haven't seen K-pop
notes.
Hunters.
K-pop Demon Hunters, no, but I'm going to see it today, and then we're going to film for
Okay,
Friday.
so maybe I'll see F1. Okay,
Yeah,
so anyways, all that type of stuff.
It's going to be on this Friday's Patreon episode.
Probably.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We were going to do it in this episode, but we're just assuming that we're going to talk about Superman for way too long. So if you want to see all that, go to the Patreon.
The original plan was we're going to do our regular review of Superman on this episode, along with the Ironheart review, the K-pop Demon Hunters review, the F1 review, and a couple other things. Mm-hmm. We're going to do all of that on this regular episode and do spoilers for Superman on the Patreon.
Yeah.
But you turned to me after the screening last night and you go, we can't do spoilers on the Patreon.
No,
we can't do spoilers. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
So, go check out the Patreon. Mm-hmm. Follow Letterboxd. Alex
Azor. Alexazor. And then
Wafello. Because we post our reviews over there as well. So
I kind of don't.
You're kind of falling off? Wafello hasn't fallen off.
Well, I'm happy for you. But
I got my 2025 list. I've already put Superman where it is on the list.
Yeah, see, my list for 2025 is private. I don't make any of my lists on Letterboxd public unless I've talked about them on the podcast. Andrew, you don't get paid for Letterboxd. So then why are they getting early access to your reviews?
Because that's what Letterboxd is for, brother. If you follow me over there, they should get something out of it. They get my thoughts on Superman 12 hours early.
Yeah. That's a little unfair to me. I don't follow you on Letterboxd though, so I'm
we can't. So are we ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. I've got my notes set up. I think I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm going to be reading some stuff today too, I think.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a long one, ladies and gentlemen. You better buckle up. Really?
I know. I wanted both. I wanted a handshake and a clink. Here we go.
I'm not worried. Are you worried?
No, I'm not worried.
No, I'm not worried. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment you've been waiting for. Here is our reviews for Superman. We're going to start with an out of 10 as always. Sure. 3, 2, 1.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 as well.
Let's go!
I kind of thought you were going to give it a 10.
No.
And
we'll talk about it.
Let me say, multiple times in the theater, I was sitting there and I was like, this is a 10 out of 10.
Not mad at that at all.
Multiple times. And I'll obviously get into
why
it's not a 10 out of 10 for me. But you guys know I'm Mr. Criticism. I'm a hater and this, especially with superhero movies. People hate how much I hate on superhero movies. And I do want to say, before I get into the criticism of this movie can probably be criticized for a ton of stuff and way more than we will criticize it for.
Sure.
We will probably gloss over or not talk about a ton of stuff that are probably real problems with this movie because we're nerds and we loved it, obviously. And at some point you just stop caring about certain stuff. Mm-hmm. But from a filmmaking standpoint, if somebody made an argument and they were like, well, this happens and this happens, you could convince me absolutely that this isn't a 9 out of 10 in quality, but that's not what movies are about sometimes.
Yes, I actually had that written almost specifically. Yeah, so I'm really glad you enjoyed it. It is not, neither of us gave it a 10 out of 10.
Yep.
So, yeah, I give Superman a 9 out of 10.
Yep.
This is a movie that inspires and entertained me personally, like the entire time.
Yeah.
I laughed, I cried, I leaned forward in my seat, I put my hands on my head, I don't know how many times, from the music to the villains, to the side characters, to the action, to the main conflict of ideas and people, and the climax, to the character motivations and decisions that they make, to the relationships that the characters have, to just the world building. I was all very impressed and happy. Like we said, it's not a perfect film. That's why it's not a 10 out of 10. I think movies like Into or Across could be considered better, or at least better in structure, like that.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, stuff like that. But I think I think a lot of us knew part of this film going in wasn't going to be as intricate or sophisticated as some of those others. And as we came out of the film, I was talking to everyone about it, and multiple people separately said almost the same thing of basically like, yeah, I have some problems with it, but I just feel so good right now.
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
And I was like, sometimes, not always, but sometimes that's one of the most important things, especially in a movie like this. If a movie can make me laugh and cry and care and entertain me the whole time and make me want to be a better person, I'm going to personally like it. And it also makes me so excited for the rest of the universe. So thank you, James Gunn. Thank you, DC, Warner Brothers. Sometimes that's the most important thing, and I think it gave us that. Yeah.
I completely agree with everything you're saying. I would love to get this out of the way now.
Okay.
Can I just go over my one major criticism?
Sure.
I think it really drags. I think I really feel the runtime at multiple spots.
Interesting.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this. People are going to be furious at me that I'm describing Superman this way. I think it has the Oppenheimer problem, which every scene in this movie is like the best scene you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
But there's too many scenes.
Interesting.
I felt that way several times. Like, the first 30 to 45 minutes, I think I turned to Rachel 30 minutes in and I said, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. And I think it keeps up that pace. Like, there's some really high quality scenes throughout this movie.
Yes.
Where it's like you're just watching. There's a scene at the end that we'll get into in a minute. But, like, there are so many scenes where I'm like, wow, this is just the best shit ever. But, God, was I feeling it like at a certain point where I was like, God, this movie is still going.
Interesting.
And like, I was talking to somebody after the film and they were like, wow, like I wish there was more, like 2 hours and 10 minutes. I felt like it was an hour. And I was like, God, I felt the opposite. Now, so maybe that's a unique opinion to me. Maybe it has to do with the structure of the film, which we will get into, or this or that. But yeah, for me, it's like almost a very similar experience to Oppenheimer.
You loved Oppenheimer.
And I loved every scene in Oppenheimer.
Didn't have a problem with any of the scenes. There were just too many.
It's just like it keeps going.
Yeah.
But I want to make something clear. Like Oppenheimer, I gave a clear, concrete, like, you should have cut this, you should have cut this, you should have cut this. I have none of that for Superman. I don't know what you cut. Yeah. I genuinely do believe this is probably the best movie they could have made.
Yeah.
Like, but, and like I said, like there are some scenes. There are scenes that, like you see in the trailer. Pretty much every single scene you see in a trailer is like the greatest scene you've ever seen in your life. One of my favorites, one of the standouts, is a conversation between Lois Lane and Superman in an interview, and like it's incredible. You can't cut that, but there are so many of those scenes where it's just like, wow, we're still
interesting.
going.
So I didn't feel that at all. I feel like the other person.
Yeah.
Not that it was an hour, but
God, I'm really jealous of you.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have that problem, it's a 10 out of 10 without question for me.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Maybe once or twice, but generally, no, I was locked the entire time. Can you give me, well, obviously mark spoilers for everyone wondering. We will mark spoilers.
Yeah.
Can you give me any examples of non-spoilerly of where you felt?
Yeah. It's a Superman movie. It's a superhero movie. There are fight scenes. And there are, like, 4 fight scenes past like the hour and a half mark. Mm-hmm. And do you think we agree on the best fight scene in the movie?
I haven't thought about that. I don't know what I would pick.
Because I have that for spoilers. But
okay, well, we'll get to it.
Okay. There's a side character fight scene. It's not a Superman fight scene.
Yeah.
I think that's the best fight scene in the movie.
Okay. It was very James Gunny.
Very James Gunny.
Very James Gunny.
Very James.
It's literally Yondu.
You're right. Wow.
It's the Yaka arrow scene.
You're right. I didn't know that's what the arrow's called. The Yaka arrow?
Marvel trivia guy.
Nice. Good. It's very James Gunny. It's the most James Gunn thing in this movie. Mm-hmm. That I thought was the best fight scene. Pretty much every fight scene after that, there's a specific extended one with like higher stakes. Mm-hmm. Oh, that one I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well,
and then there was another fight scene after that, and I was like, oh my gosh.
There was once where I was like, oh, I kind of thought it was over, and then it wasn't. So maybe I could kind of feel you there, but it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I kind of want to piggyback off of something you said.
Yeah,
of like,
let's hear it.
This was, because of the way this is set up, this was kind of the best movie they could give us.
Yeah.
So, story-wise.
Yeah.
Right, some people are going to have a problem with this story-wise.
Absolutely.
Because
yes.
it's a bit messy.
Yes.
And there's a lot going on. It doesn't flow as well. And there are some moments that could potentially be better.
Yep.
And I think one of the reasons it was restricted in how well it could be character relationship-wise and story-wise is because James Gunn didn't treat us like idiots and kind of took the audience and understood that we would understand these kind of movies now and plopped us in. They give us a few sentences right at the start.
Star Wars opening crawl.
Yeah, they gave us that and basically established this whole universe.
Relationships in this movie already exist.
Right? So there's a lot of good moments in this movie, story-wise and character relationship-wise, that hit me pretty well, but could be better in terms of an overarching story, or could have hit even better if we got more of their relationship, but we just didn't because there's too much going on in the movie, and we are already into an established Superman. So like Lois and Clark, what's their relationship? So there are some moments between them that might have hit a little bit better. My best example is the Pa Kent conversation.
Yeah.
Right? We don't get many scenes between those two almost at all.
Yeah.
But there's a really good scene where they talk and it's really emotional, and you can kind of see it in the trailer where they're putting their heads together. That scene is good, but just like story-wise could have been a little bit better if we saw the origin or some more scenes between them as a kid or growing up. Like, that would have established that scene a little bit better. But we're just not going to do that in that movie because we know these characters. We know the superhero universe. James Gunn isn't going to spend time doing that, and he didn't need to in this film. So it's going to knock it down a little bit for some people. Not for me personally, but like I think that's one of the reasons the movie is restricted a little bit.
You know me, I love making predictions.
Yeah.
I come from a sports background. A lot of the stuff that I do on this podcast is I'm taking from sports shows, so I'm going to make a prediction for Superman. I think a major criticism that people are going to make about this film is that it feels like or should be or would be better if it was a sequel.
Yes.
I think that that's going to be something we hear a lot. Where like you just brought up, I'm kind of piggybacking off of your exact point, but there were established relationships that they just drop us into. And I think that almost every scene in this movie, somebody could make the argument to me. I'm not making this argument. I give this movie a 9 out of 10. I just adored it. But somebody could make the argument to me where they're like, well, see how much better would this scene have been if we had this scene and this scene and this scene establishing it.
Yes.
And that I was like, oh, sure.
Sure.
Like, it's not a criticism I'm making, but it is a prediction I'm making that it is a criticism we will hear. In the same way that we hear the criticism all the time of, oh, No Way Home is just nostalgia, or, oh, you know, Infinity War, there's too much going on, or, we kind of make this criticism about Endgame, but, Endgame is nothing, and then it's the fight,
I think it's a fair criticism, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
But, you had to make the decision. Are we going to work on all of that, or are we going to just launch this universe in this way, and I'm glad they decided that. But at the same time, I can't think of a character that isn't already established or already has some established relationship that they could have spent more time on. Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, Perry White, like Mr. Terrific, the Justice Gang, all of them, Superman, Pa Kent, Ma Kent, Lex, almost everyone has established stuff already going on. But I think we're cognitive enough and big enough fans of properties like this where it's not going to bother most people, I don't think. At least enough to dislike the movie.
God, this movie's great.
Oh, it's so good.
All right, let's get out of the negatives.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some positives real quick.
So
I guess,
speaking of positives.
Yeah, go.
When watching Superman...
Yeah.
Or when we're watching any movies, we've made this point in the podcast, we do not talk about the movie until we are live on the podcast.
Correct. We have not talked about this film yet.
We have not talked about this film yet.
Are you going to say what I think you're going to say?
Yes.
Okay.
There are some movies that are just so unbelievably bad or so unbelievably good that just from our reactions we can kind of get a sense. We still won't talk specifics or our score or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like Across the Spider-Verse, we could both tell. You know what I mean?
You and I were sitting there in the theater in Spider-Verse crying.
We're just like nodding at each other.
After the Gunn opening, I'm like this, and you're turning to me. You're like,
Rise of the Beast is an example of. we kind of both knew that it was bad. You know?
Fuck.
This is an example of. I didn't know for the entirety of the movie, but by the end, I mean. Our friend Jasmine was behind us, and as soon as the movie was over...
This was one of my favorite moments of the night.
She leaned forward to me and said... She had already seen it. She was like, my second viewing was increased and was better, and one of my favorite parts of watching this the second time was watching you and Alex watch it, because we were having so much fun. And there was one moment, we'll talk about the scene, where... I'm crying, or I'm literally just like, I can't believe this is happening. This is so great. And you lean over and just tap me for a second. And I was like, yeah, and this is what I like.
It was fun because we put Rachel between us to try and avoid seeing the reactions. But there's this scene, and like you said, we will talk about it in spoilers. But it is the most you scene I've seen in a cinema since this podcast has existed. And like, it's just everything that's being said. It's like exactly how you try and live your life, and it's your MO and this and that. And so I couldn't imagine, and I knew you were crying throughout the movie, but I didn't want to look at you for that scene. But like, because I assumed you were bawling your eyes out, and I did, like you just said, I want to go into this as blind as possible. But I just knew you were sitting there freaking out about this scene. And so I just give you one of these. I was like, because I knew, because I was feeling the exact same way as you, but I knew that scene meant especially more to you, and so that was a cute, special moment.
Yeah,
that was Jasmine saying that to you about watching us and saying it made her night, how excited we were and electric we were. It did make me think like, God, I wish we could like record that and give that to y'all, because... That was...
I was like this, like half the movie.
I mean, I like... Rachel didn't really watch the movie. She's like this the whole time. Because I'm like... I'm turning to her. I'm like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. You want to hit us with a positive, or...
I've got a million positives. Okay. But let's start with one that may not seem like a positive, but I feel like we are... Right? We don't know the financials yet. We don't know the financials yet. We'll get into that. But in terms of just the film, we have talked about Superman having the most, second most, or third most pressure of any superhero movie of all time.
Yes.
It is starting this universe. It has to get people back into DC after 10 years, a decade of garbage. Can they start the universe in a good way? Can they bring people into theaters? Will people like this movie? Will it have a high Rotten Tomato score, etc., etc.? For you, though, personally, did Superman live up to the pressure?
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
I was worried, right?
Huh.
The entire year, Superman is obviously one of my most anticipated, but I was going back and forth between that and Fantastic Four and some other stuff, and it was just like, because I watched the trailers and they were great, but it did not convince me it was going to be a good movie.
Yeah,
right? I always said that.
Yeah, I remember.
The weeks leading up to Superman, I just got more and more excited, which got me more and more worried.
Yeah,
because all I cared about was like Superman. And then on the drive to the theater where we were going to go see it, thank you IMAX, shout out IMAX, go watch it in IMAX.
Go watch it in IMAX, seriously.
I was listening to the theme song. I was so locked in, and it would have sucked. I can't think of a movie, if it sucked this year, that would have hurt me more.
This year, 100%.
Right.
I'm trying to think of movies of all time.
Yeah. And I thought this during the movie, and I thought this after the movie. I was excited for the DC universe already. I am now more confident in my excitement for the universe because of this, because of Superman.
And that is the definition of living up to the pressure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let me tell you, this is interesting. Rachel, my girlfriend, doesn't fuck with DC. She's never fucked with DC. Part of that is the Snyderverse and public opinion and this and that. But it was really easy getting her into Marvel. Because, I know the Marvel movies. I've seen Civil War in theaters. I know they're fun, and Iron Man and Captain America and this and that.
Yeah.
But public opinion of Marvel, even though they've dipped a little bit in quality, is still very high. So it was really easy getting her into Marvel. But other than showing her the Dark Knight trilogy, being like, look, this guy won the Oscar for being the Joker. Like, it was very hard trying to get her into DC. I tried to show her episodes of Justice League. I tried to show her, I showed her 1 or 2 episodes of Batman the Animated Series. But like, it's constantly like, I don't know, I don't care, whatever. After that movie, she was like, I'm ready to get into DC. And that, I think, is going to be a lot of people's reaction. I think that this movie, what a jumping off point for the DCU. And even if it doesn't make that much money, which obviously I hope it does, but I think that this can work as such a good vessel. Like, I think the next one, especially if it's good, is going to make a shit ton.
What is the next one?
Supergirl next year.
Okay, great. My guess was kind of the same way. Doesn't care about Superman, and I'm hoping now that they will.
I think they will. But speaking of will it make any money, it is currently tracking to make $200 million plus opening weekend on a $200 million budget.
So, we have a bet.
Yes,
right?
we do.
We have a bet.
Yeah.
So you have 5 movies, I have 5 movies.
Yeah.
And whoever's movies make the most amount of money.
At the end of the year.
We need to pick the punishment. Patrons pick the punishment.
The Patreon does pick the punishment.
I was already on track to lose because I picked Megan 2.0 because I'm a moron.
And Megan 2.0 is already leaving theaters.
Yes. Okay. I'm still in the running because How to Train Your Dragon crushed.
And Jurassic is crushing.
300 million opening weekend.
Yep,
so I still have a chance.
Yep, you absolutely
With that
do.
being said, I now want to lose.
Oh, that's very nice.
I want Superman to make $5 billion.
Yeah, me too.
I really do.
Yeah,
I wanted
too.
to make so much money.
I think it'd be good for the world.
Yes, I agree. Mm-hmm. And for you, because you won't have to do the punishment.
Correct.
There are a lot of characters in this movie.
Oh, I love you. I was going to do this in spoilers, but you can do this now.
No, go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say, there are a lot of characters in this movie.
Yes.
And watching the trailers and stuff, you kind of think, some of these might steal the show. Like Crypto's in this. We knew Crypto was going to kind of steal the show. Were there any side characters that kind of stood out to you that stole the show a little bit more than you thought they would? Because I have one.
I actually have a rebuttal to this written down. And I was going to be my own personal thing. I have it right here.
Okay, go ahead.
What was your standout performance? Because that was something I was going to ask you.
Well, just from watching the trailers, I did not expect Mr. Terrific to be as involved and as entertaining as he was.
He's incredible.
He's great.
He's incredible.
The acting, just how he's intricate to the story. It could have been Guy Gardner could have been in it more. Hot Girl could have been in it more. All the side characters are good because James Gunn is amazing at that.
Yep.
Jimmy Olsen is freaking good. Lois is good.
Yep.
But Mr. Terrific did stand out a little bit more than I was expecting him to, is what I'm saying.
I think that's a totally fair take. And what a redemption. Mr. Terrific. What a redemption over Darwin. His role in X-Men First Class.
Oh, yeah.
The guy that can't die and they kill him immediately. He's fabulous in this movie. So you brought up Mr. Terrific. I think that's totally fair. So my thing was, I was going to say to you, what's your standout performance? And then proceed to say that my pick for standout performance in Superman is every performance.
Yeah.
Because as much as I want to shout out Mr. Terrific, and as much as I want to shout out Jimmy Olsen, I have to also shout out Lois Lane. Or Perry.
Or Lex.
Or Lex.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
It's just like they're all so perfectly cast. They're all so expertly acted. and they make the universe feel so fucking lived in.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying.
Like, you're hitting this a little bit comfortably
I'm so
after
sorry.
your red carpet
I'll
moment.
keep my
Just
fingers.
fist, please. With
I agree
Superman.
with you. I agree
Thank
with
you.
you.
Or do the mug or something. I'm just making sure.
It's gonna
I
haunt
just
me.
like, God, everybody's incredible in this movie.
No, I definitely agree.
That goes with my problem that I said earlier, where it's like none of my problems are like, oh, I found this character annoying, or oh this, or oh that. I don't have any of those problems. It's just, dude, like, they're all incredible. Like, I actually, and this brings me to another point I have, which I don't know where I have it written down. Yeah, can we get a Daily Planet spinoff, please?
Oh yeah, the investigative journalism.
Oh my
like,
gosh, in the DCU, please. Like, I didn't find myself like wanting more of the Justice Gang. And I love Superman. David Cornsweet is expertly cast. He's incredible in this film. But like, I wasn't like, oh, I wish we got more Superman. Or, oh, I wish we got more Clark Kent or anything like that. I didn't feel like I wanted more of... Lex is incredible in this movie. He's going to be a highlight for most people. I didn't find myself wanting more Lex Luthor in this movie. I wanted myself constantly... And now that the movie's over, the only group that I wanted more of is the Daily Planet
that's
crew.
fair, yeah.
Perry is excellent in the 8 lines they give him. He's incredible.
He's great.
Lois's investigative journalism is so fun. Jimmy, is such a highlight in this movie.
I mean, I love him.
You love Skylar.
Love him.
And the role they give him, and they keep him the same in many ways, but they change something pretty major, and it's just makes for such hilariousness.
And then there's the hot girl. I don't know what her name was.
Yeah.
And then there's
Eve.
No, not her. The hot girl at Daily Planet. There was one that was like
Cat,
and then the jerk. He was funny.
From SNL.
Why don't I have a seat?
Yeah.
No, yeah, that'd be real fun.
Yeah, so I would just give me that. Just give me that, please. Speaking of humor, we're laughing right now. So Superman is fucking hilarious.
It's very funny.
It's so funny. But it's different than James Gunn's usual humor.
Well, it's not the Suicide Squad, obviously.
Correct.
Can't be.
It's hilarious. But it's not Guardians or Suicide Squad hilarious.
Yeah, it's a little different. There are some tinges you can kind of tell it's James Gunn every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But no, yeah, it's really funny. And it's not, it doesn't feel cheap. Like, you said one of your favorite scenes was the Lois Clark conversation.
Absolutely.
You laugh a lot in that scene.
Yeah.
You laugh really hard in that scene. And none of them felt like, because people kind of will get tired of like the Marvel humor of like, oh, he's standing right behind me, right? I didn't feel like it was like that. I felt like it was a perfect amount where you laugh enough and you care about these characters enough where you're kind of laughing with them, but the serious moments were still serious moments.
Absolutely.
They didn't try to, I'm sorry, Thor Ragnarok it or Thor Love and Thunder it, where they take every single serious moment and make it a physical comedy.
That's such a good point. They do not... James Gunn has a real talent of not undercutting his most dramatic moments with jokes. As funny as the Guardians movies are, and as funny as the Suicide Squad is... Well, there aren't too many serious moments in the Suicide Squad. Really just the rat one with Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
But, like, there's no scene where Chris Pratt is having a flashback to his mom with cancer, and then he's like... And then it's like...
Oh, shucks.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
There's no moment like that, and so there's no moment like that in this film. Superman has so many good jokes. And
Guardians 3 is hilarious.
You're
Open the
laughing
effing door. But then you get the rocket scenes where they let the rocket scenes be the rocket scenes.
Yeah, James Gunn's got a real restraint with that. For as funny as his MCU movies are...
Taika Waititi does not.
I'm going to unfortunately give that one to you. But this is... Superman, they don't undercut any of the serious moments with jokes. You're so right about that. Go.
Well, this isn't a positive, it's just a question. So I've got some questions, but we can save them.
Well, before you get into that, I've got a question for you, and we're on topic. We're talking about James Gunn. Is Superman James Gunn's best movie?
This will lead into one of my questions.
All right.
So we'll get more specific. I wouldn't be mad at someone saying that.
Wow, I can't believe you're taking this angle.
I think there are 3 options.
Yep.
4.
Yep.
Guardians 1,
Yep.
Guardians 3,
Yep.
The Suicide Squad,
Yep.
and Superman.
Yep.
I'd be fine with anyone interchanging any 4 of those, to be honest. Depending on your own personal, what you want from a movie. Because someone did ask me that last night, is it better than Guardians 3? And I was like, it's close, I think.
Okay, it's clearly better than Guardians 3.
I like Guardians 3 more than you.
Yeah.
But I think I will agree with you that it is better.
It's better than Guardians 3. In my opinion. Like, I
love Guardians 3.
I love Guardians 3 too. I just gave it a 9 out of 10 very recently. You remember I rewatched it on our Phase 5 ranking.
Did it change multiple points?
It changed to 8 point. It went from an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10.
Crazy.
I'm nicer to things on rewatch. I might walk out of
Dude, this is going to be a 12 out of 10.
I don't know if I could... Yeah, maybe. Call me asshole. Call me recency bias. I think this is his best film.
I'm not mad at it.
I'm surprised that you're not going, yup.
I mean, Guardians is just so good, and Suicide Squad is so good. And you know I like to sit with movies before I glaze them into infinity.
Yes, but this movie's so good.
It's so good, but like Guardians is structured better. Guardians flows,
Absolutely.
Suicide Squad flows a little bit better. There's less going on, and it's more. But the highs of both of those movies do not reach the highs of this movie.
You don't think the highs in Guardians 1 reach the highs of this?
No.
What about Guardians 3? The highs of Guardians 3 reach this?
No. We'll talk about it in spoilers.
Wow.
Anything else?
No, you could do your point.
So, people in their reviews, a lot of people are calling Superman the most comic book movie of all time.
Yep.
It is a very comic book movie, and what I mean by that is it really leans into the sci-fi. It leans into the fantasy aspect.
Yep.
You have so many characters and so many metahumans and supernatural things that maybe don't make sense or aren't practical, but they allow it because it's a superhero movie, and we fully delve into that. And it's a very lived-in universe. For example, a Fantastic Four comic I'm reading. Crazy, I know. Well, I'm reading a comic.
I'm so proud of you.
But it's like one of the first, maybe the first appearance of Galactus for Fantastic Four. I'm reading it before Fantastic Four. Galactus comes down. He's building a giant machine to eat the world. The Fantastic Four are having to fight his little alien sidekick. The Watcher is taking Johnny Storm and having him fly through the depths of space and time while Silver Surfer is learning about humanity, and then he fights, and the way they're talking, like all these like supernatural crazy things are happening, all these different characters and all these different parts of the universe. That's how this movie feels. We've got all these different machines and universes and characters and powers. So that's what I mean by comic booky. Is this the most comic book movie of all time, or at least in modern cinema history? Because you could make the argument that like 1978 or whatever Superman, or the original Batman, or like Batman with Adam West, those are super comic-y, but even those aren't on the scale this one is. So what is in competition?
The Raimi trilogy.
Good. Yes, I had that.
That's probably it.
I think some of the Avengers movies you can make the argument. Infinity War.
But you can also make the argument for some of the Avengers movies that it's like too much trying to be cool and not a comic book.
Yes, but in terms of just the sheer amount of sci-fi fantasy stuff going on, Ultron launching a rock with giant robots.
That's fair.
And then Infinity War, you've got Nidavellir, him making Stormbreaker, and Infinity Gauntlets, and the Collector, and Wakanda. But even so, I still feel like this beats all of them in terms of comic bookiness.
So it's going to be a negative for many cinephiles.
100%.
Many film people. Because one of my positives that will be a negative for people for Superman is that there are lines that objectively do not need to be said and do not need to be written the way that they are written. Mm-hmm. But they are written as though it is in a comic book. There is a line that Lex says in this movie, and it's one of the biggest Lex moments in the movie. And like objectively, it's technically a poorly written line. Like, movie people will turn to you and they will be like, Superman is not good. It's a 6 out of 10 or whatever. They're going to give it 3 stars on Letterboxd. You know, they're Letterboxd people. They're not.
I already have a friend that gave it 2 stars.
Who?
Snowden. Blake's Takes friend. Duck's Takes.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know if you've met him, actually, now that I think about it.
I'm glad to not know who that is.
Oh, he's the guy that does the podcast with him and talks about the Disney parks.
I still don't know who you're talking about.
You've seen those clips. We've talked about him.
I'm going to be as disrespectful to that person as possible.
He literally said, at least it's better than Man of Steel.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well,
hey, I will take the W. As soon as we walked out of the theater, I went up to Connor after watching Superman, the biggest Zack Snyder glazer of all time.
Yeah.
And I said, and I quote, "You've got about 5 seconds to tell me this is better than Man of Steel before I kill you on the spot." And he went, "It's better than Man of Steel."
Nice.
And I was like, let's go!
Nice! We'll get into Man of Steel in literally a minute. But, no, so there are lines in this movie. The Lex one really stands out to me where it's like, I know people that are like huge movie fans and film fans are going to be like, ooh, like that's poorly written. That shouldn't be said that way. Why is he talking like that? Whatever. But like you have to understand, like that was literally mid-movie. I'm like watching the text bubble come from his face. And like that's the speech that he's making because it's like so comic book in so many aspects. And I do think that the Raimi trilogy has that.
Yeah.
Where it's Goblin is giving a speech about, you know, the and it's different in the MCU in No Way Home, but in like the first Spider-Man movie, he's giving the speech on the rooftop and he's like,
You're not so
you're
different.
strong, I'm strong, whatever. We're going to take over the world. You don't technically need that, or it technically could be better written, but it's a comic book movie.
And it's iconic.
Yeah. So I'm
So,
gonna say that.
other than the Raimi trilogies, maybe some Avengers, I don't think there's anything that's really
No.
touching.
And I think you could certainly make the argument that this is more comic booky than anything in the Raimi trilogy.
Yeah, I agree. Suicide Squad too, maybe. Giant Starro, Polka Dot Man.
Starro is super comic book, and
But yeah, no, I think this takes the cake.
yeah, I'm with you. So we just talked about Man of Steel. Obviously, in my opinion, this is the Superman movie for me, for sure. What an improvement on Man of Steel in like literally every way. Is there something that Man of Steel does better? People will argue Hans Zimmer's score.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. That's fine.
I thought the score in this movie was really good, though.
Yeah, I think it fits and is fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. Do you not think, even though you don't think Man of Steel is structured better?
No, because Man of Steel sucks.
No, I agree. Man of Steel sucks. I'm just trying to think of one positive.
People never talk about this. Man of Steel has like a tremendous pacing issue because the opening battle on Krypton is so long.
Dude, I want to watch it again to be able to talk about it more specifically because I remember it, but I don't. It has been a decade. But like you saying that right there makes me not want to watch it because now I'm like, I remember.
Yep.
How much of a drudge that movie
It is. It's exhausting. Like, there are so many people that, like, watch that movie. It's going to have the Revenge of the Sith thing. Where there are so many people that watch that movie as a kid, so they think they love it. And then you watch it back and you're just like, wow, why is that line delivery so bad? And, like, why does Lois Lane and Clark Kent have no chemistry? Oh, my gosh. Somebody commented this the other day on one of our videos. I loved this. Somebody mentioned, nobody talks about this, and I've never talked about this, but this is such a good point. Lois and Clark's first kiss happens at the end of the final battle on top of a like dilapidated building in Metropolis. So their first kiss happens like on top of like probably countless of dead bodies. Is that very Superman?
No, not really. I was looking up. I was listening to the Superman soundtrack this morning as I was prepping for the episode because, of course.
Yeah.
And I was looking up the Superman soundtrack on Spotify, and it put the Man of Steel like album cover next to the James Gunn Superman album cover. And just like, this is the second and the third one. Well,
Look at how black it is.
It's so black. It's just the logo surrounded by black.
Yep.
And this one is like blue and white and red, and him looking up to the sky. It's like, to each their own, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think we've dogged the Snyder universe enough. It's for some people. There are some good things about it. He's made some good movies, I'm sure. But Man of Steel and Batman v Superman are definitely not for us. Well, Batman v Superman is a little bit more for you. Can this flag get the frick out of the way?
I know.
But yeah, no, this movie is very much better.
Suits. You're not a suit guy.
No.
But I gotta ask, what do you think of the suits in this movie? What do you think of the looks in Superman?
Again, very comic-y.
Yep. Main Superman suit. You've seen it in a film now. What do you think?
It's good.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's perfect.
Yeah.
I think it could maybe be a little bit better.
Sure.
But I wasn't mad at it.
No.
It looks great, especially when he's flying and in the action sequences. I love the cape. I love the bright colors. But I'm not going to say it's perfect. Sure. I don't know what I would change. I'm not a designer, but what do you think?
I like the Superman suit a lot.
Yeah.
I think the Ultraman suit is fine. I think the Justice Gang suits are fucking heinously bad.
Really? I actually thought they were good.
They're so
You don't like
ugly.
Mr. Terrific?
Mr. Terrific's is fine because that's really close to his comic accurate look.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about it.
But like in terms
Lanterns.
of that Green Lantern and Hawkgirl, like that's objectively not what they should look like. Now, it's fine because it's almost certainly going to be a story beat later on, which I really appreciate that James Gunn is already setting things up for this universe. They're funded by Maxwell Lord, who is, not exactly the guy with best intentions, usually. And so almost certainly Guy Gardner and Isabella Merced's Hawkgirl and everything, I assume in the future, will break free. You see them in the Peacemaker trailer. They're working with Maxwell Lord, and they're still in those same suits. And so it's clear to me that in the future, probably not in a Justice Gang movie or series or something, but in somebody else's thing, that's going to be a subplot of them breaking free from the Lord money and this and that. Maybe Batman will buy them, make the Hall of Justice or something like that. And then they'll have their own suits, and those will be very comic accurate. Because so far, this universe has been very comic accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have as much of a problem with the Hawkgirl suit, but now that you pointed out the Green Lantern suit.
I think the Hawkgirl suit, personally, is the worst one.
I guess I just don't care as much about hers.
Yeah.
I care more about a Green Lantern.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and you certainly don't care as much as I do about Isabella Merced. We have to talk about Isabella Merced because obviously I just adored Superman. And last year I adored Alien Romulus. So my message to young filmmakers out there, if you like me, if you like the podcast and you want me to like your movie, cast Isabella Merced in a supporting role. Because clearly that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Because Superman is my favorite movie of this year. Is Superman your favorite movie of this year?
Absolutely.
Nice.
yes, it is.
Neja 2 is great. Sinners is a better movie.
People on Letterboxd already knew this. I already put it up at the top.
Very nice.
Those two that you mentioned, and I was just thinking about it, and I was like, we had some moments like that in Neja 2 where we were like, oh my gosh, what am I looking at? This is great.
But it wasn't.
But it was not Superman.
It was not Superman. It wasn't consistently through it.
No.
And if you would have said to me,
Superman's funnier.
It's funniest movie I've seen this year?
Yeah, let me go look at that.
Yeah, is Superman the funniest movie you've seen this year? That's a good one.
It might be, which is crazy. That's crazy. It doesn't need to be.
It's so funny, though. There are so many great jokes. There's no, Deadpool, Wolverine, The Proposal, where I was, keeled over, collapsed laughing so hard. But,
there aren't a lot of funny movies this year. The only one that might is Thunderbolts.
But Thunderbolts isn't this funny.
Yeah, I think this is funnier. There aren't, Novocaine was kind of funny. Megan 2 had me laughing out loud multiple times, really, really hard. But throughout it, it's not as funny. Yeah. Working Man? Freaking no. Yeah, it's the funniest movie of the year. And it's also the best.
It is. And if you
I'm so happy! I'm so excited!
Cut to me in the James Gunn shirt from the emergency pod from 2 years ago when all this stuff was announced.
I want to get one now.
I was so sure that this was going to be the outcome. I knew when Superman came out, it would be my favorite movie of the year at that point, and
It'd
I knew
be
I would
so
just
bad if it
adore
wasn't.
And I feel so lucky to be alive right now that this is
Me too.
What's going on.
I like your hat. I like your shirt. You are representing the current state of the DCU and how wonderful it is. I'm representing the future.
Yeah. Ooh, Andrew.
You like that? You like that?
Mr. Philosopher over here.
AKA, I did not have a Superman shirt to put on. So I just went with the DC shirt.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah. So this is what we have to look forward to, and this is what we are looking at now.
Absolutely.
Are we getting close to spoiler time?
Yes, we are. I have one thing I want to say before we get into spoilers. I've got something written, and I don't really want to butcher it. I'm happy with what I wrote, so I'm just going to read it. So I've been a Superman fan as long as I can remember. And while he's not as important to me as Spider-Man or Batman or the Fantastic Four, he's always been a character that I adore and one that I needed to be done well in media to my standard, I guess. Through the 2 years that this podcast has existed, I've really only shown my love for the character of Superman and Clark Kent through my hatred
of Man of Steel.
Of his misrepresentation by the last regime at DC and Warner Brothers. I just have to say, I'm so grateful for this new Superman movie, because for the first time since this podcast has been around, I'll be able to say good things about a modern-day Superman project. And instead of yelling at people and telling them how much Man of Steel sucks and how wrong they are for liking it, in the future, I'll be yelling at people how wrong they are for hating this movie, like I do with Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man Homecoming, The Last Jedi movies that I defend on this podcast. And I'm personally really happy about that. That really means the universe to me, because Superman is a character of positivity. He is a character of hope. And it has it's always fun dogging on Man of Steel, but it has kind of sucked that my one relationship with you guys on this podcast about Superman, you all know that I'm a big Superman fan, but you know I'm a big Superman fan for how much I hate the misrepresentation. It would be like if we never talked about how great the TV show Avatar: The Last Airbender was, and the only reason we knew you were such a big Avatar fan is because you hate the M. Night Shyamalan film. That's what it is, and so this movie has given me something so special, and I was getting a little emotional writing that last night, thinking about that.
Yeah, I made the point about the Superman movie before it came out that even if the movie wasn't good, I was still thankful for the marketing and the TikToks and the trailers and the behind the scenes and the way they're just framing this character to give people hope and to give people a proper representation of this character and kind of spread this message of like, hey, this is what Superman is. Even if the movie wasn't a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, whatever, it wasn't good, I was still thankful with how they were presenting it through the marketing. And now that the movie is out, we can say that I'm even more thankful that they did that throughout the entirety of the movie. And now, like you said, we don't have to just keep dogging on Man of Steel or misrepresentations of the character. We can now be a source of positivity just like Superman is while talking about this movie and talking about all the great things Superman stands for and how great this movie is. And that's way more fun to put your energy into. Watching the movie, I know one of our favorite episodes is the Across the Spider-Verse episode because we just enjoyed the movie so much and we were having so much fun with that episode. That's what this one feels like.
Yep.
I was watching Superman. I was like, the last time I felt like this watching a movie was probably Across the Spider-Verse.
I'm with you completely about that.
So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to say before we get into spoilers is, jeez. This has been a really difficult week for me. I'm going through some pretty major personal turmoil in my life, along with some business-related setbacks. It's just kind of been tough. It's been tough for both of us. We've had kind of a rough week together. But even beyond the business stuff that we're going through together, I've got some personal stuff that obviously you know about that I obviously won't be talking about here to add to what we're both dealing with. But this movie is exactly what we try and provide for y'all with this podcast. What an escape this movie was for 2 hours. And I'm so grateful for James Gunn and David Gordon Sweat and Rachel Brosnan and Nicholas Hoult and everybody involved with this movie and the marketing and Warner Brothers and this and that, because oh boy, was this the escape that I needed. Oh boy, am I excited to see this movie in 2 days. Oh boy, or tomorrow. Yeah. like holy balls. Like, I was sitting there and, like, I forgot about all my problems. And we're still dealing with some business-related problems. And, like, something pretty major happened this week that we were really upset about. And it's something that, like, we can't do anything about. It's something that happened that we can't do anything about. But I was watching this movie and all those worries went away. And I walked out of this movie and I was like, I guess that wasn't that big of a deal. even though it was the hugest deal in the world for me personally, and a little bit you, just 2 days ago. And now I wasn't feeling that way. After the movie, and so that's exactly what we try and strive to be for you guys with this podcast. And so I thought that was really beautiful and pretty poetic for me personally when I was watching this movie, being like, this is how I want everybody that watches our show to feel.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We definitely try to do that for people, and I felt the same way. I'm looking forward to seeing it again tomorrow, and seeing it with people who haven't seen it yet.
I can't wait.
I think we can do this non-spoiler. We talked about it a little bit when we compared it to some other movies, but what superhero movies are better than Superman? I'm going to give you some. And
Damn it, Andrew.
Yeah, I stole it from you, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, we're good at
son of a bitch.
We're good at what we do. Do you have a list?
No.
Okay, I don't either. But we can kind of just go through the MCU, go through some movies, and I want you to say if it's better or worse.
Andrew! All right.
All right. So, is Superman better or worse than Captain America: The First Avenger?
Yes.
Better.
Yes. Superman is better than First Avenger.
Ant-Man.
Yes, it's better than Ant-Man.
I love Ant-Man to death.
Ant-Man's hilarious.
But I think this is better.
Yep.
Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Black Panther.
Yes.
Better. Endgame.
Yes.
I think I might have to say better too. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get out of the MCU.
No.
Okay.
I'm not ready to do that yet. We will.
All right.
I think Endgame is better for the last 40 minutes, but overall, Superman.
Yeah.
The Avengers. Don't do it. That's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to be mad at any of these, to be honest.
This fly is killing me.
This fly is killing me.
Oh, jeez. Frig. This is a hard one. Can I pass?
No.
Avengers 1.
Good.
Avengers 1 is better.
Because there was a moment where I was watching like the first 30 minutes and I compared it to the first 30 minutes of Avengers. And I was like, Avengers is just better scene to scene and connecting it and flowing. Mm-hmm. The Avengers is better. There are things about Superman that are better, but overall, Avengers is my favorite movie of all time, so I'm going to take that.
There's no question to me that personally the highs for Superman are higher than the highs of Avengers 1.
That's fair. I think there's more in Superman that are in that level. I think the 360 and some of those and like Puny God, stuff like that.
But action doesn't get me the way it gets you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are moments that are just...
Like my highs for Superman, I don't think any of them are action.
I'm like half and half. I don't think there's any dialogue moments in Avengers that are as high as some of the dialogue moments in Superman, for sure. No Way Home.
This is the one where I was thinking about this hard last night.
This is tough.
It's got to be No Way Home for me. Sorry. I don't feel bad about that. I don't. Like, I had this moment.
I need to watch Superman again. Right now, I'll say No Way Home.
Well, you've ruined it, so I'll just go ahead and say it. The MCU question of the day for the end of the episode was, would Superman be the best movie in the MCU? And we have pretty much just established that for neither of us, it's yes. Like, it's no for both of us. It's
correct, but is it top 5? That was my question.
Okay, well, we can do that question at the end of the episode then. Or we can do it now. It doesn't matter. But that was going to be my MCU question of the day. And for me, I guess I think it's Infinity War, Civil War, and No Way Home are better. Because there's no world I'm putting Superman over No Way Home. I was thinking about that hard last night.
I don't think I'm putting over the first Avengers, Infinity War, maybe No Way Home, maybe Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier's usually your 2. If you're putting it over...
I know, but I moved No Way Home around.
Yeah, Infinity War and No Way Home.
Those are the 4. I'm putting it over Civil War. I'm putting it over the Guardians.
Shit. I don't think I can put it over Civil War.
Yeah, I can. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Is Superman better than Logan?
Yeah.
Because you don't like Logan as much.
I like Logan, but for me, Logan's an 8 out of 10. I think Logan really drags at moments.
Yeah. I'll give it to Superman. People are going to be so mad at us.
I know.
Some people are going to hate this movie.
I know.
Not us!
It's better than Days of Future Past. Is Superman better than every X-Men movie? I know you haven't seen them in a while, but it probably is for me.
Is it better than Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yes!
Is it better than Deadpool?
No.
Whoa.
I was thinking about this last night. I think Deadpool 1 is one of the best superhero movies of all time. It's so...
This isn't? Is Superman one of the best superhero movies of all time?
I would say that Deadpool is a better movie than anything in the
Is
MCU.
Superman top 10 superhero movies of all time?
It could be. It's probably top 20 for sure.
It's definitely top 20. It's better than every single DCEU movie. It's better than almost every single X-Men movie except with the exception of Deadpool. It's better than 95% of MCU movies.
Is Superman comfortably better than the Suicide Squad? Because I don't know if I'm ready to make that statement.
Not comfortably. I don't know if I'm ready to make that statement either. You're obviously not putting it above Batman Begins. No way. No.
I was thinking about it, but
Homie.
I can't.
Why are you even thinking about that? You say Batman Begins and The Dark Knight are the two best live-action superhero movies of all time. So if you're even considering that, it's definitely better than The Suicide Squad. You've never once think, is the Suicide Squad better than...
The highs of Superman are so much higher than the highs of Batman Begins, but the lows of Superman are so much lower than Batman Begins. Batman Begins never has a moment where I'm like, wow, this drags. Like, for Batman Begins, the action sucks. It's tough. It's tough. Two goats can't coexist, I guess.
So the
Dark Knight is better.
Yeah.
Dark Knight is comfortably better than Superman, in my opinion.
So what movies are better than Superman? The Dark Knight.
Spider-Man
Deadpool.
Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse are both better.
Sure. You're not putting any of the Raimi movies above it?
No.
I'm putting maybe Spider-Man 1 and 2 above it.
No. I'm putting Homecoming over the Raimi movies, Andrew. Like, I'm not putting... This is better than Homecoming.
Is Superman better than Homecoming?
This is better than Homecoming. Because the highs are so high. Homecoming is a more
and all the highs in Homecoming suck balls.
Fuck you!
Except the two that everyone points out.
All right.
Yeah, Dark Knight, Into Across, Deadpool.
This feels like... You know what? Superman feels like a significantly better version of The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
No, I was going to make that comparison because you were making some of my same arguments like 5 seconds ago about why this one's so good.
The highs are just so high. And the one low I have is that it's just too many highs. Like it's like it is. Yeah.
Infinity War, Civil War, No Way Home.
Oh.
The Avengers. The Dark Knight, Into Across, Deadpool.
Yeah, it's in that range. You're at 8?
Yeah.
It's in the 9-10 range.
We do need to see it again. We'll have a better understanding of it after that. I know we're being very high on it, but let us have our fun.
Yeah, sorry, recency bias. We're the recency bias merchants. Can I say something to you real quick right before we get into spoilers? Last thing, I didn't even have this written down. You're going to be shocked I didn't have this written down. You always make fun of me or disagree with me or bring it up as a point to discredit me when I say that the MCU or superhero movies in general or blockbusters in general are ugly or gray. Did this movie even slightly make you understand why I have that critique?
Because it's not like that?
Yes. It didn't just like jump out to you how much better Superman looks than like Civil War.
It didn't jump out to me, but...
Wow.
But I agree with you, if I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like...
I'm just in the movie watching.
So good looking. I loved how it looked. Not a bad CGI moment in this movie. It's crazy that Crypto isn't actually there.
Crypto does look really, really good.
Crypto looks incredible. There's a scene. Crypto's like a jumpy dog. Like Crypto's all over the place. So Crypto's like got behavioral issues, whatever. You see it in the trailers. Yeah. You see the trailer. He's flying everywhere, whatever. But there is one moment where Crypto is like sitting still. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And it's the best CGI moment in a movie this year. Better than all the dinosaurs in Jurassic World Rebirth.
Oh, I don't know about that.
The fur, it's crazy how good it looks.
I don't know about that.
I thought it was a real dog for a minute.
Will Superman be better than Spider-Man Brand New Day?
Yes, comfortably.
Is Superman going to be better than Avengers Doomsday?
Probably.
I think it will be too.
Will Superman be better than Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
You're going ahead with the yeah.
If Fantastic Four is even in the realm of this, I'll be happy.
I think there's a universe where Fantastic Four is on par.
Connor said that too. I think y'all are getting way too ahead of yourselves.
The trailers, and I haven't been watching them, but everything I've seen from them, have you heard the Silver Surfer lines?
No. I've stopped watching the trailers.
I've tried to avoid them, but they're everywhere. Like, I'm listening to that shit, I'm like, holy fuck.
There are going to be no highs that reach this at all.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Are we
Marvel's first family? You don't think there's going to be like a crazy
I think Fantastic Four
moment?
will be good. I'm very excited about it, but like, no. I'm not expecting Fantastic Four to be in the conversation of top 10 superhero movies of all time.
But if it's good, it could be. You know what's
Any movie could be.
You know what's a movie that's in the conversation that we didn't just mention? It's no question that it's in the top 10. If it counts, because we really just did Marvel DC, The Incredibles. The Incredibles is without question in that top 10.
Yeah.
The Incredibles is a good Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
You're not telling me if this Fantastic Four movie doesn't do these characters justice and everything that it can't be amazing? Of course it can.
I'm not expecting it to be Incredibles.
Yeah. That's a fair
Nothing
bar.
I've seen from it makes me think like, I think this could be...
If you watch the trailers for Incredibles, you wouldn't think that it's going to be what it is.
Yeah, well, I watched the trailers for Captain America Brave New World, and I thought it was going to be freaking sick.
Those trailers were good.
Spoiler time.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your spoiler warning for Superman 2025. We're getting into it. What do you want to hop and do first?
I don't really have anything,
Oh, I have a lot.
so you can go. I've got one question for you.
All right.
I'll say
I
that.
already went over the Star Wars opening crawl. I wanted to talk about that. All right. Wow. Went over that. Okay. Bradley Cooper as Jor-El.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the casting? And my next point is Russell Crowe, 2-time Oscar winner. Marlon Brando, 2-time Oscar winner. Bradley Cooper, 0-time Oscar winner, has been trying for that Oscar his whole career. Does this bode well? Will he die with 2 Oscars under his belt?
Did Marlon Brando and Russell Crowe get theirs before Superman or after?
Both of them had 2 Oscars going into Superman's.
He's gonna die with a goose egg. Ooh. He's not getting it for, what was that Star movie? And then American Sniper?
You're thinking of Star is Born?
Yeah.
American Sniper you just brought up. He had the Conductor movie.
Oh, yeah.
That one he was
Was
really
that last
Oscar.
year?
Yeah, he was really Oscar baiting for that one. And then Silver Linings Playbook. He really wants that Oscar.
You like that movie?
Silver Linings Playbook, it's a great movie.
Yeah. I thought he's fine. I mean, he's not in it like a ton.
No, but it was interesting casting.
Yeah.
You got to get a huge deal for Jor-El. And
Apparently.
So, on top of Jor-El, what did you think about that plot point?
It bothers me a little bit.
I understand.
And I think people like my father are going to be mega bothered by that.
Yeah, absolutely.
To turn his Kryptonian parents evil, basically.
Yep.
But in the grand scheme of things, in all the universe of all the things you could change, that one's going to be pretty low on my list of things that I care about. Mm-hmm. He didn't turn Ma and Pa Kent evil.
Fuck no.
Right? That would be way worse. And he didn't let Superman let his father die or something stupid like that. That would be insane. But freaking Alex Vasquez last night said he likes this better than Man of Steel. And I was like, he's like, there are a couple things I like in Man of Steel a little bit better. And I was like what? And he's like, his relationship with Pa Kent. And I was like, are you out of your mind? I was like, what?
Let the bus full of kids die.
Yeah, well, I was like, are we being serious? Yeah, so it bothered me a little.
God, that movie sucks.
Yeah, no, it does. Hey, we're being positive now.
I'm sorry.
We've been negative enough. Yeah, I think it's weird, but I think it's cool that he heard the first bit of the message
and interpreted it his own way.
And then the villain was able to use the second half of the message. And I think it really tied it together. It really did help me when at the end he's sitting there and he's got his real mom and dad playing. That was
of course.
That was a great
That
scene.
was maybe my favorite moment in the whole movie.
Which is totally fair. And I think that put me at ease a little bit more of like the reason he did that was like to show like, hey, he's really for Earth now. He's not trying to do this Kryptonian thing.
Yeah.
These are his real parents. And that scene really was really good.
So good.
James Gunn, man. He's got stuff like that. He's got sauce like that.
He's so good.
Right there. That other people do not have.
Yeah. The change is going to upset a lot of people. For sure, though. Like your father.
Yeah.
Which is...
I literally might warn him.
I'm understanding of that feeling. But to me, this is how I interpreted it. And here we go. Being negative again. But Superman's goodness... I say that with the biggest asterisk I can possibly say. Superman's goodness in Man of Steel in the previous universe is so tied to Russell Crowe and the Kryptonian side of him because it's not tied to Kevin Costner or Ma Kent because Kevin Costner is telling him to kill a bus full of kids and telling him, let me die so that you don't have to expose yourself.
God, that's so bad.
So bad.
It's so bad.
That... It felt like James Gunn acknowledging specifically me and being like, this is so not that. Like the Kryptonians are fully bad. Like these are bad people.
Yeah, that's fair.
And and I kind of thought it was like cuz Man of Steel, it feels like it took a lot of his humanity away from him, right? The whole point of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and all those movies is that he is God. Like, that's the imagery. He's doing this. He's doing that. It's constantly like he is God among men. They worship him, whatever.
It was exhausting to live through.
It was like so much, look at how much this guy's God. And this movie was like so much like, look at how much this guy isn't God. And so that's what that felt like to me. That was a distinct choice that James Gunn made, being like, changing that. Getting ahead of that. And I was pleased by that choice overall, although I totally understand people having a problem with it. I don't know if you knew this going in. I knew that Supergirl was in this movie.
I did not.
So that was a sick surprise for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew that Supergirl would be in this movie. I know a lot of people did at home. I was so surprised that she wasn't in the Pocket universe. I thought for sure she was going to be in one of them cubes.
Interesting. There were a lot of people in there.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be totally in one of those cubes. That being said, loved the scene that she was in. One of my favorite scenes of the movie, and probably my choice for favorite scene in terms of comedy. I was dying of laughter in that scene. There's the great Lois interview
Clark,
scene.
yeah.
That scene's hilarious.
Yeah.
Even though it's so serious, it's hilarious. Hashtag super shit.
You know that one gets me.
Like, all that is hilarious and everything. And there's some hysterical Mr. Terrific scenes. I mean, the scene where he's like, I can shut it down or whatever. And he's like, get out of my way. I can fucking shut it down. You know what? I'm fucking Mr. Terrific. Hilarious, yeah. Right? So there were great scenes like that. But, dude, the scene with him and Gary, which was also hilarious, where he's just talking with Alan Tudyk as Gary, and he's just like, and they're like, I don't perceive emotion, but I would say that she's got a drinking problem. And they're like, no, look, this is why Krypto's such a bad dog. No.
And she's just getting slammed into the ground.
No boundaries. That was hilarious. Oh, that was just so... And the lore of the red sun and the yellow sun, like, that's such good lore dumping because he has to explain that to Gary. Like, that's a creative way to do that. And this and that. I thought that scene was just the best. I loved that scene so much.
Yeah, I think Superman does a really good job of establishing the universe, right? Mm-hmm. But then it also does a good job of doing what the MCU used to do and what a superhero universe should do, of Easter eggs and or pointing towards other things. Mm-hmm. The Hall of Justice with the Justice Gang, that stuff, and having Supergirl come in at the end is just enough of a sprinkle to be like, hey, this is the next film. Here's where we're going. Not enough to bog the movie down, and it wasn't even in an end-credit scene. It was in the actual movie.
Yep.
So good for James Gunn for giving us this movie, but then also sprinkling a little bit in for...
There's plenty. Lex is going to Belle Reve.
Yep.
That was a nice touch. Just very little, but that was a nice
As he's
touch.
getting into the thing.
Maxwell Lord having the interview moment where he's like, well, we can all agree that Lex Luthor's a dick. How about Peacemaker?
Yeah, I was about to
hilarious.
Peacemaker in the interview.
They don't like me because they're not as buff as me. Hilarious. I loved that.
So good.
I loved that. It was just so good. It was, and you're establishing the countries. Mm-hmm. Right? You got the Hammer of Baravia. This is great.
What did you think about Clark Kent's sunglasses line? Or not sunglasses, his glasses line. Did you catch that?
The line that somebody else made about his glasses, or a line that he made about his
someone
glasses?
else made.
Yes, of course.
About, that's why, it's like a little bit of a explanation, because everyone always complains about, oh, well, Clark Kent just puts on glasses, and then we can't tell. That's so stupid.
Yep, yeah.
So he's still keeping that.
Yep.
That it's just the glasses. That's basically all it is. His hair changes a little bit.
Yeah.
But in reality, very comic-y, it's because they're Kryptonian technology that changes like the shape of his face and makes him look a little bit different when he takes them off.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool.
It was great that they explained
a throwaway
that.
line, but that explains...
And it explains all... Like, Rachel has never seen a Superman project ever. Gets it. Officially gets it. And she asked me a question about that. And she was like, is it always like that? And I was like, it's always like that. It's always just the glasses. But they never explain it. Mm-hmm. This is the first time on screen that we've gotten that explanation.
Yeah.
Which is great. Now, I know from the comics, like, he hunches. And the glasses, and sometimes the glasses are just a different shade and they change his eye color. So sometimes it's like little things like that. They make it
Reeves
from the bright blue to
did a good job with that.
The pale gray. Exactly. And Christopher Reeve's kind of a goofball or whatever. Yeah. We see a little bit about that of that in this film, but not too much. But yeah, I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, I could talk a million positive things. What's your standout scenes for you? Give me like a couple scenes that like really stand out, because we could talk about it now in spoilers.
Yeah. One standout thing, they didn't call him this in the movie, but Metamorpho has always been one of my favorite DC characters. I've always liked his powers and the fact that he can just like really turn into anything. Mm-hmm. And we knew he was going to be in the movie. And this is what James Gunn does. He does a good job with these side characters where there's a lot of people in these movies like Suicide Squad and Guardians, but they're not overwhelming. He's in the movie more than I thought he would be. Mm-hmm. And there's a good reason for him to be in the movie with the kryptonite.
Yep.
And, Lex is like, oh, I have a workaround for that. And the workaround was Metamorpho.
So good.
But I thought he was going to be in there for that. But then once he gets out and we're starting to see him actually do Metamorpho things where he's turning into gas to be able to fly. And then he's the tentacle guy. And then he's trying to get Superman out of the black hole and everything. And then he's helping them in Yonpor at the end or whatever. That just made me really, really happy because I love that character. And I never... in my wildest dreams, imagined I'd be able to see a live-action Metamorpho, much less one that was done that well. So that was a little bit of a standout for me because I love him so much.
And one of the best jokes in the movie.
Which one? Oh, the Swiggle.
We can't have him as one of the faces of the Justice Gang. The Justice Gang. Now that's a cool name. You're in. Hysterical.
What was
Nathan Fillion was hysterical. We were just talking about the Lois scene where he explains the glasses to her. I mean, the scene where he's like, so he's Clark Kent, and for her to just, what the fuck are you doing? You don't know that I know that. Hilarious.
The running bit of the Justice Gang name, not a bit that needs to be in there,
but it's like so funny.
But perfectly
makes it sound like cowboys.
Yeah,
hilarious. And then, which is so funny, it does make them sound like cowboys.
Justice Gang.
And then the scene of them showing up in Bavaria to save the day. And he's like, sorry, kid, Superman's busy, but you got an upgrade. And then it's...
the middle fingers coming out of the ground.
That's so
good. There was another funny line. Was it Mr. Terrific when he found him? It was like, superpowered dog, green
Tentacle
baby, tentacle man. I like that line too.
Yep,
that was
good. There's a lot of good moments.
Standout scenes.
Yes, please.
Again, only seen it once, so let me try and go through this. The Pa Kent scene was good. Any scene with the Kents was good. I really loved them a lot.
Okay, I want to ask you about this. Obviously, I adored their accents and how they talked and how clearly positive they are and everything like that. How was your relationship with those scenes? Because when I was listening to Ma Kent, it was just Joan Parker. It was just your mother. And so did that add to any of the emotional for you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I was thinking that. I was like, wow, like this is going to resonate with so many people.
Yeah, I think I've lived in LA for 4 or 5 years now, and I lived in Florida for 2. And whenever I lived in those places, people and my mom would come visit. They'd always be like, "Oh, your mom's accent," and I've never heard it. I've never heard her accent because it's just my mom.
Yeah.
I can hear it a little bit now because I've been out here for so long. So when I go home, I can hear it in her a little bit. And especially my mom's side of the family, her sisters, my grandparents on that side, when they were alive, everyone over there sounds a lot more like that. Not as much as the kids in this movie, I think, but it was kind of like homey. And I did like when she was like leaning over the phone trying to talk it to it. That was very grandparenty. So yeah, no, it was nice. It was really nice. And I'm glad they're both. We didn't get a lot of them, but that one phone call conversation was really good. And then just the way they're treating Clark and care about Clark when he gets home, shows what good people they are, and that you can find good people anywhere. And that's kind of what the movie is about. So, yeah, it's good.
And these were the best people who raised this young man.
Yeah.
God, I'm getting emotional, dude. That movie's incredible. Holy balls. Well, in the greatest segue in the history of this podcast, how are they going to kill Pa Kent?
I don't know. Maybe, hopefully a heart attack.
That motherfucker is dead as a doornail.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I was... Pretty much as soon as they showed up on the farm in this movie, I knew that they weren't killing him in this movie. 100% the plot of the next Superman movie is he is trying so hard and too hard to save everyone, and then bang, gone. First act. For sure. For sure.
Perhaps.
Rachel, I read all of these notes to Rachel before I went to bed last night because I was like, do you think this will be a good episode? Do this, do that. And tried to get some ideas from her. And I brought that one up. And she was like, he dies? And I was like, Rachel, this is Uncle Ben. He is gone. He is a goner.
Yeah.
She was like, no! Yeah.
What do I want to do next? We'll come back to scenes. I loved all of the characters, obviously representations, but also like their motivations and how they worked. Specifically, obviously Superman. He has multiple scenes where he talks about why he does what he's doing, and they're all just so great. Mm-hmm. Lois's representation is great. Jimmy's representation is great. Justice Gang, all of that. Another standout one is obviously Lex. You can do so many different things with Lex. But like having him, the way he was able to fight Superman with his brain,
awesome. By the way,
yes.
I was like jumping for joy in my seat.
That's like one of the first things we see.
I was like,
he's calling out moves with a giant robot that has a clone Superman in it. So comic-y. Doesn't make much sense, but it doesn't need to.
So good.
And his motivations being represented in the Galileo line, comparing himself to Galileo and Einstein, and being like, these morons. The envy line of like, yes, I am envious.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm not a fucking idiot.
Yeah, he's like, I know, but this fuels me because you just come down and you get to be a god. That's so Lex. And I don't want to kill you so I could start a war. I started a war so I could kill you.
Yep. So I'm so glad you're bringing this up because that was one of my favorite lines in the entire movie was that speech from Lex. That's the speech I was talking about in the non-spoiler section where I was telling you that film people are going to be like, that's bad writing for him to just say his motivations like that. But dude, like straight out of a comic book, I could recite to you verbatim so many villain speeches that are exactly fucking like that with the text bubble. That's what that was. Like, I loved it. I loved that. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Absolutely.
And you love to hate him because of how he is awful.
But he's so charismatic. Like, I loved him.
Yeah, no, he's...
Yeah, the opening scene where they're celebrating Hammer of Baravia kicking Superman's ass, and he's like he's got his guys and stuff. It's so good.
The international politic espionage of it, the high-tech stuff that he's got going on, his questionable morals, his motivations. I think it was a great performance. It just felt so good in the universe. Like, that is a villain that I'm like, oh, he's definitely going to come back. And when he does, I'm going to freaking love it. Mm-hmm. When they form the super villains, or he gets out of jail, or he eventually becomes president somehow, or whatever happens in the future, I want to see him again in this universe.
He's establishing the League for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lex Luthor, here's maybe a negative for the future of the universe. Can this Lex become president?
I think so.
Yeah, because he's so charismatic.
He's so good.
They've shown how smart this guy is.
He's so smart.
This guy's such a genius. And so, he could totally flip this narrative. Totally.
Kingpin, murdered a bunch of people in New York.
And he flipped out.
And that was proven. He went to jail. He literally went to federal prison and then became mayor and locked up his political opponents.
Yep.
Other standout scenes. Clark and Lois conversation, we've talked about that. It's obviously hilarious.
It's great.
And this is another example of we don't get to see their relationship develop or begin, at least. And it's kind of put in with a lot of other things where you get the scene where they have the fight, and maybe it doesn't mean as much because this is the first scene we're seeing of their relationship, and then they don't really interact all that much until she goes to save him, and then they're kissing at the end. So that could be better if we spent more time with it, or we saw them develop those feelings and had a better framework or foundation for their relationship. But again, you can't do that. And I did really love the scene where they're like, I can give you an exclusive interview, and then they go behind and they're floating and they're kissing. Awesome. This movie rocks.
Yeah.
Movie rocks.
Speaking of, you just brought it up. Oh boy, James Gunn said he cast it based on Clois. That made sure that they had a lot of sexual chemistry. Their chemistry is off the chain in this movie.
Yeah.
So many great scenes. I mean, the opening scene, it's just... I kind of went over the sequel thing. So then my final thing that I want to talk about in spoilers is... Does this movie feel... This was a question going in for Superman. Are there too many characters? Does that hurt the film? Does it bog it down? And I was a big proponent of... No, these characters are going to be side characters. You're going to have one or two scenes. And I was surprised at how utilized some of these characters were. Mr. Terrific stands out.
Yep.
Right? He was in this movie way more than I thought he would be.
Me too.
So what do you think about that? Were there too many characters? Does that bog this movie down?
In some ways, sure. Again, the point that I keep making is yes, if this is a different movie, or like you said, the sequel point, if it was a sequel, it would make a little bit more sense. So yeah, it does hurt a little bit, but this is what this movie had to be.
Yep.
So no, it doesn't bother me that much.
All right.
Doesn't bother you?
No, it doesn't. And I have some stuff I was going to do outside of spoilers. Is Superman a better movie than any film in the MCU question?
I still got some stuff.
Go for it.
What do you think about the action in Superman?
It's not my favorite.
Why not?
My favorite scene is the Mr. Terrific fight scene.
Which is, again...
Very James Gunn.
Yeah.
Yep. It was just a lot of fun. And then... I love the Hammer of Baravia scene, where it's Lex kicking his ass with his brain. I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah.
But, I didn't care for the Pocket Universe fight scene. That was the scene where I was telling you where it started to really drag for me. I was like, God, we still have probably 40 minutes left in this movie, and this is really losing me here. So, had that. I like his fight against the clone, against Ultraman, but it's not my favorite. I didn't go into this movie thinking it'd be earth-shattering action, and it wasn't.
Some people will say Man of Steel's action is good.
It's just Dragon Ball Z, though.
Yeah, I think I like this action just as much or more than Man of Steel. And you get a lot of it, which is good, especially because they're all important. Except maybe the kaiju scene. Maybe you could have cut that, but I enjoyed it nonetheless because it showed Superman saving the squirrel.
Superman saves the squirrel, the dog. He's like saving.
Yeah, he's holding this and so fun. And I wish we could have studied it or killed it in a more humane way instead of blowing it up from the inside. And they're being like, come on, man. And he's fighting it the whole time, just trying to keep it from buildings. Another thing I like about the Superman movie is you let him save the ordinary person multiple times. It's not just the villain hates Superman, so he's going to go fight Superman. It is all these other things happening, and Superman holding the building while the girl drives the car off. The turning around, everyone okay? Checking on them. Saving the squirrel. Saving the dog. Saving the girl. So good.
Like, so every good. Life is so valuable to Superman.
Yes.
It's going to be so great when they kill his dad. It's going to be so great. He's going to be so sad.
So kaiju fight was great. And then obviously the Crypto Superman fight at the end against Ultraman and what were those things called? With the heat vision that he kills all of them?
Not
kills.
Raptors.
Yeah. I guess I can see your point about the pocket universe, but I was just so fascinated by Metamorpho. I was like, I don't care.
That's fair.
I was like,
Baby Joey. I like Baby Joey.
He turns into acid and explodes. It's just so awesome. Perfect. So awesome. Perfect. One more question. I feel like there are more positives that we're missing.
I mean, there's a million. But we'll be talking about this movie for the rest of our lives.
I would be remiss if I did not ask this. A huge negative for you.
Oh.
In Man of Steel is the 9/11 level amounts of destruction.
Yep.
There is just as much or more in this movie. Is it okay?
Factually incorrect.
Metropolis literally splits in half.
How many people die? Oh, we got a whole scene evacuating everybody. What a concept! Oh,
write it differently.
We see somebody carrying their turtle onto a fucking bus. That's
and like
how
I just said, the bridge scene
and the bridge scene.
She was like the last person.
One car that hasn't made it,
and he saves it.
He saves it. Oh. What a concept!
Cooking!
Fuck you, Andrew. You thought you had me.
No,
I thought you ate me up.
No, I just had to ask. I didn't know. Nice work. Nice work.
They know better.
Yeah.
And I hate the argument that people make. Here I am, dogging Man of Steel again. I hate the argument that people make where they're like, well, what was he supposed to do? Zod is throwing him into these buildings. Zod is lasering these buildings down, whatever. You don't write that for your first Superman movie.
Yeah.
You can have a Metropolis Man of Steel level event later in a Superman's career, because then it can really fuck with him and fuck him up and really challenge him as a hero. You cannot do that in his first movie. You just can't do it. And they did that. They had a massive event where the stakes were really, really high, but everybody was evacuated. And when did they save the day? Just as it was going to split in half, a different city. And
where they literally were like, let's run. And she was like, we're not going to make it. They stop it before that.
And what's the villain say? I don't care. I'll stop it.
When it gets to a city I care.
Actually care about. Great.
Another funny scene, the Hulk, Loki, Crypto, Lex Luthor,
yes,
ragdolling basically.
Absolutely.
Puny God scene, but with Crypto.
It's very similar. But it is different in the way that it's shot. It's actually shot very horror-y, which I thought was very funny.
Crypto easily could have killed him.
There's a shot where he's got blood in his teeth. Where I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
The scene where you hit me. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah,
obviously,
of course.
Because you get a Lex monologue before that and a Lex monologue after that.
Yep.
But in between is Superman showing up and being like, here's what you fail to understand, Lex.
Yeah.
That I am human.
Yep.
That I have been here my whole life. And I choose to do good because I care about other human beings. And this is also reminiscent back to the Clark and Lois interview where she's pressed him, and then he's just like, people are gonna die. I have to, I got to do something. Like, I have to stop it. And like, that's what he was talking about with Lex, where he was just nailing what he wants to stand for and who Superman is. And then the crypto thing happens after that. But yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes. That was just dialogue. Because it was the climax. It was the climax. He did all of this, and you're learning who Superman is, and all these people are questioning his intentions. And then he comes in to the person who exposed him to the world and was trying to make everyone hate him and be like, this is what you don't understand. I'm doing this because it's good, and you're not going to stop me from doing that, period.
Did it at all upset you that this didn't happen?
I haven't thought about that until this exact second. Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah,
but it would have been cool. We got enough scenes where it like was superhero. When he saved the girl from the building and she drove off on the bridge, him coming up from the smoke and her looking in the rearview mirror. That, during the fight scene where he finally beats Ultraman or something and he's flying up to do the Raptors, and there's like a shot where it's following him and then it like slow-mos down on the logo for a second. We get enough scenes like that where they know what they're doing.
Yep. It was great. Well, is that all we got for now? We will be talking about this movie for years to come, I assume.
Yes, we will.
I'm very excited for the rest of the DCU.
I'm so sorry if you didn't like it.
And I'm really excited for the sequel to this, because I hope that this makes a lot of money and we get a sequel ASAP, because this was wonderful. Love you guys so much.
That was fun. Superman rocks.
Superman rocks.